Welcome to Super Smoke Bros Podcast. Four teachers fueling our passion for smoking foods, one smoke at a time. Discussing step-by-step recipes, successes, failures, and everything else that we fire up. The bros will be interviewing celebrity pitmasters and your everyday backyard barbecue titans. Cheers to a new episode and smoke on, my friends.
Welcome back. Season 2 of Super Smoke Bros, and we're back at it. We're just coming off Thanksgiving, so in the words of the great Adam Sandler, turkey for me, turkey for you. Let's eat turkey in my big brown shoe, baby. So a little Adam Sandler for you, Thanksgiving song. But we're back after a great first season of Super Smoke Bros, and there's some changes that have happened, but all good and super excited to dive into this new season. As you can see, one of our Smoke Bros, Yago, which I'll talk about a little bit later, due to taking a new position and no longer with us that much, had to take a step back. But we have two very, very new, and you might recognize one, additions to our Super Smoke Bros. So with that, one of the OGs, Colin, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to be back here doing another Super Smoke Bros podcast. As the Blocky just alluded to, I'm going to introduce one of our newest members. You may recognize his pretty face from an earlier episode. Former head football coach at Sheboygan Falls, award-winning football coach at Sheboygan Falls, and former math teacher as well. Is now the athletic director and associate principal at Sheboygan Falls, and a Super Smoke Bro. So, Brian Berlin, let's give the people what they want. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, it's an honor to be here. It'll be tough to replace that Andrew Yago feller, as he's a pretty interesting character, but I'll do my best. So a little bit about myself. I think I said this, and by the way, if you recognize me from a previous episode, you are a Super Smoke Bros ultra fan, probably. So good for you. But I'll kind of review. So, it all started. I actually used to go to these barbecue festivals all the time, and I love barbecue food. I've never really, at that point, I'd never seen it made in person. And I have a really good friend. Maybe we'll get to meet him on one of these episodes. The ever so famous Shingy, as I refer to him. He really got me into smoking meat. He invited me over, and he literally did every cut of meat you could possibly do, like the classics. He did ribs, he did chicken thighs, he did pork butt, pulled pork, he did brisket, which is one of my favorites. And really, from that day, I realized that this was something that I love and that I could do, and that just really got the snowball rolling down the hill, as they say. So, and ever since then, it's been quite a journey. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, we're glad that you came back to us, Brian, and excited for this season and to keep this thing getting bigger and better. And as you can tell, we have one more Super Smoke Bro, Mr. Peterson. He, a fellow coach of ours, Spanish teacher, takes his kids to Costa Rica over the summer, all kinds of things. And him and I became good friends, some long bus rides for track, and really started talking about smoking meat. And he's going to give us a new perspective with, he's as an electric smoker. So, Mr. Peterson, Petey, take it away.
Yeah. Good to be here. I'm super excited to be a part of this. My smoke story, I have been grilling forever. I was old enough, I guess. I've had a grill for a long time. I've just been super into that grill, like 4 or 5 times a week at least. And my love for smoked food started probably with my mom. Every summer we go to Door County, we get some smoked salmon. After a while, she started buying a smoked turkey for Thanksgiving. And that was really my first experiences with like smoked foods. So it was very little. But she's also like my biggest inspiration and biggest fan of the smoked foods I make. So my family didn't love the smoked foods at first because, like I'm sure a lot of people, they mess it up the first time. So I didn't get a great start. It was a slow start with the smoking foods, but um, I've been learning a lot along the way, and I'm thankful for our long bus rides together with these guys. We can tips and tricks, and I'm definitely getting more into the electric smoker and enjoying the journey.
Right, good.
All right, Colin, what you been up to?
Yeah, so I know it's been a while since we did this, so I've been up to a lot of new stuff. A lot of just like kind of variations on what I had been doing. We kind of stick to some of our like my kids are young, so they have some favorites that we go back to. You know, ribs and pulled pork are kind of a couple of the favorites. I was super excited for fall weather to come and smoke some chili. We got to have some of Berlin and Zlaki and my chili at our. We had a staff chili cook off, and we finished 1, 2, 3. I won't spoil it. Who took first? I'll let the winner do that later on. It wasn't me. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I love the smoked chili. The most recent thing I did, I smoked a mac and cheese. It was my first time smoking mac and cheese, and I loved it. I don't think I'll ever bake it in the oven again. I stole a recipe from Teeny. That's Instagram, TikTok, kind of a viral recipe. She was a competitor on a Gordon Ramsay cooking show, and she put out her mac and cheese recipe. She bakes it in the oven though, so I have a little bit of a different twist on it. But it was phenomenal. I also added some chicken that I grilled with some barbecue seasoning on it, and then a little bit of barbecue sauce in it um, as well, which just made it very good. So that's what we've been up to in the Sheehan household lately.
Sweet. Like always, I get up to a lot. I'm just going to talk about my most recent one, which was on. We are filming this on Sunday after Thanksgiving, but on Thursday I was up in the motherland, God's country, Upper Michigan, and out at our cabin with no running water, but fired up Big Mama, the 6 foot smoker, and kind of, I did two turkeys. They were smaller birds, 14 and 15 pounders, but we had some people, so I figured let's do two. Tastes a little bit better instead of doing one really big one. And so I threw it in a brine for about 36 hours, took it out, and my wife and my sister-in-law stuffed it with a butter compote where you lift the skin up and put the butter underneath the skin, and then I hit it up with some butter spray and seasoned the heck out of it. I did spatchcock it too as well before I put them into the brine. And then I set it for about 250, and I let that thing roll. And I used it like what I did for a whole hog. I use a coal barrel where you throw the wood on top and the coals drop down and you shovel them in. Kind of cuts the smokiness. If people don't like the heavier smoke flavor, it cuts it a lot. And so we did that, and everyone loved the bird. It took about 3.5 hours, so a little bit shorter because they're two smaller birds, which I didn't account for. But I wrapped them and rested them in the cooler, and we were good to go. My brother-in-law, who was also last season, he was up there. He doesn't like turkey, but he said it was the best turkey. He liked that turkey, and I think he actually smoked one yesterday when he got home. So turned out great. That was my latest smoke, but trying things. Cheesy potatoes is like my new go-to on the smoker. Stole that recipe from someone and doctored it a little bit. I can't remember who I stole it from though. And so the smoker's been fired up a lot. So especially with chili, I think by the process of elimination, I was not the one that won either. So we can let that man talk about his winnings in the staff chili cook-off. But it's really good chili though. That was for sure, no doubt. Um, so that was my latest one. So we're gonna kind of go through here, and I'm gonna let Colin take back over, and then we'll go to Brian and then Petey, and kind of what to expect in this upcoming episode. Upcoming episodes or seasons, I should say. So, Colin, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, we've got some really exciting interviews lined up for this season. People that you probably have seen, or if you haven't, I would definitely recommend looking them up on social media, Instagram. Captain Ron, he's been super supportive with us and has been in contact quite a bit. So super excited to have him. Big Jake, he's one of my favorite follows on social media. I love watching his stuff, seeing what he does. It's always interesting. And a returner from episode 1, our very first interview ever, was with Miss Tina, and she's kept in touch as well. And we're gonna have her back on for another interview in season 2, and hopefully we'll have some more other than that are kind of in the works. But we've got those 3 confirmed for now. Very excited about those. They should bring in some great insight and tips for us.
All right. Barbecue Berlin, you want to take it away?
Sure, let me just start by saying that this is going to be extremely difficult for me. I don't know if you can hear my stomach right now. It's just like grumbling, talking about all this smoked food. It's like a Rottweiler in the corner. Just there's got to be like a really good sound effect board we could probably add to these.
Probably.
You know, as we're talking. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, like for me, I think just like for me, just because I'm a beginner in this with the Super Smoke Bros, I'm going to be talking about a lot of classics. I feel like my go-to recipes, as you know, Colin was talking about with the ribs, the pulled pork, the brisket in particular that I do. But I do have this meatloaf recipe. So I made this. My family calls it an award-winning meatloaf, and we used to eat it. And they would come over. I make just a huge. I'd make like 6 pounds of meatloaf in the oven. And I have this tomato compote with peppers and onions that I use, and I do like a 3-to-1 beef to pork ratio. And there's some special seasoning in there, and my mom was over once, and she made a comment, just an off comment, like, I don't think you can make this any better. And it kind of sparked because that was kind of right in the middle of when I was starting to smoke things, and I thought that sounds like a challenge. 'Cause I really feel like if I were to smoke this meatloaf, that it probably would be better than coming straight out of the oven. And so that's a recipe that I'll be sharing at some point, hopefully, for everyone.
Ooh, can't wait for that.
That's
Cool.
The showstopper.
It's a good title for that.
Yeah.
Berlin's Showstopping Meatloaf.
There we go. You guys are creative.
Easy,
I
my
have a lot
man.
of creativity.
All right, Petey, what are you? What's up on your end?
Oh, that's just funny you say that about your meatloaf. Like you're thinking like great out of the oven, but what if?
Yeah.
Once you get out of this, like what if you smoke this? Smoke that? Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I'm hoping I can bring a little. I don't know. I'm gonna try some. The poultry, I feel like I got that pretty honed in, and family's on board with it. They like it a lot. I want to get better at some fish. I want to get some bigger like brisket and some bigger chunks of red meat here in the coming days. But I also Spanish, not just the language, it's also the food. And I've been experimenting a little bit around the house with making some new sauce, spice combinations. That there are some great YouTube videos, some great literature out there, recipes that I got to get my hands on. I got to play with them and how they go. So I'm hoping I bring that unique perspective.
Nice. Maybe we can exchange brat recipes, Petey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a family secret now. You know.
Yeah. No, well, that's not the brats. That's the Christmas sausage. Yeah. No, the brats is different. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are from Wisconsin, so I feel like we have to talk about that. So.
Oh yeah.
For sure. So here's a question off topic, because you brought up bratwurst. What's the difference between a brat and a sausage?
Interesting. I think it's the seasoning, in my opinion. You know, there's a particular seasoning that I use for the brats that I don't use for my sausage recipes. So that would be my take on that.
That was my wife Jessica asked me that on the way up to the UP, and I'm like, it has to be made, it has to be the seasonings and maybe the amount of fat. I'm not. Yeah, we Googled it, and it was the seasonings recipe. That's what it was. Yeah.
It took me forever to figure out what that seasoning was in brats. and I got it from a good friend of mine. He finally told me he cracked his own shell. I was able to crack his shell actually, over a couple of bourbons. It's
Yeah.
always you know.
So it's on my end here, like always, we'll be touching base on things, all my screw ups and my successes and all those things, and really trying to. We have I've been in contact with the legendary Kevin Bledsoe, and he has gave me the verbal um, text
Ooh.
messaging wise to be on the podcast, but can't lock down a date. He hasn't responded to me in a while. But also the one of the if you watch any barbecue competition shows, especially the newer ones, one of the top is chicken fried barbecue. They said they would come on too as well before their season starts, get steamrolling here. So a couple new interviews to lock into as well, and also some backyard pit masters like we talked
Mhm.
about. That's how Brian first jumped on here. He's the first one ever, and so I have a couple done already that I'll launch here, and some more. And if anybody wants to, just leave us comments, shoot us an email.
Mhm.
We'll get you on. It doesn't matter who it is. If you like the barbecue, and you want to talk barbecue, we'll get you on here and interview you. And that's what it's about, everyday people. So we'll continue down that lines. Now with one of the OG Smoke Bros, Andrew Yago, who was a teacher with all of us. He took a new position in a different district for his family, and we miss him, but we're so happy for him too as well. And so he just couldn't commit every single podcast. So he is going to be on those, and he's going to kind of just give us the science spin, even though Sheehan is a science teacher too as well. He's going to give us like this backyard barbecue with that science twist to it. So we look forward to that as getting him back on and try to catch up with him too as well. So he's not completely off, but just won't be as much as he was last time. So some things to look forward. Now, I don't know if we ever touched on this last season, but I figured it'd be a good one for our season one episode or season two episode. Was we had a comment from, I believe, it's dad, a question on what's your best pairing beverage with smoked meats. So would anybody like to start with that question, or I can if you need me to?
I'll start.
All right, go for it.
For me, it kind of depends. Different beverages pair better with different meats. White meat, dark meat, stuff like that. And for me, it's seasonal as well. There's drinks that I like in the summer that I don't really drink much of in the winter, and vice versa. But being the true Wisconsinite that I am, especially in the wintertime, give me a brandy sweet old fashioned, and I will always be happy with that. That's probably my number one go to, especially if it's like some red meat that we're doing, like a reverse seared like tomahawk or something. That's brandy sweet old fashioned right there.
You might have flipped me, Sheehan.
Petey, you want to go or Berlin?
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Petey.
there's the Mexican beer season. In summer, it's like a Corona or maybe a Dos Equis lager with a lime and something a little bit more substantial. In the winter, Velo or a special dark. That's weather depending, but also depending as well. But yeah, some sort of can be.
Nice.
Mr.
Me?
Berlin.
All right. For me, like I just think of my ultimate smoking day where it's like in the middle of summer for me, sitting out, getting sunburned, you know, with an ice cold beverage. For me, my universal drink, because I do agree with Sheehan, is that it kind of depends upon what you're doing a little bit, maybe what kind of day it's been too. But it's for me, it's a ice cold IPA beer, and I'm gonna give a little kudos to our local brewery, Three Sheeps, and I absolutely love their Fresh Coast IPA. It's it pairs good with anything really. That's my kind of my my go-to for sure.
He might flip me too. I love Fresh Coast.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast is Three Sheeps. No, Three Sheeps would be the sponsor for this podcast. Let's probably reach
Oh
out to
yeah,
them.
yeah.
I got West Coast. I got a few here. I'm gonna go first. Non-alcoholic. Anytime I have pork, Dr. Pepper. I have to have Dr. Pepper for pork. I don't know what it is. I use it for basting. I use it for everything. Um, but I love a great Dr. So as my daughters do too. We always have Dr. Pepper in the fridge, and that goes so well with pork. That's in my opinion. Um, Also, when you're having a good bourbon or whiskey is really good. Smoky, especially those hints of the fruit and the caramels and the vanillas. That sweeter really cuts that smoky flavor too as well. To really pair it well. So a good bourbon, especially a good bourbon, really goes well with smoked meat because it just helps offset everything. And I'm old school. Maybe it's because of my grandfather. My go-to, and for me, it does not matter what time of the year, is ice cold PBR. That's where I go. Always. My grandpa Potts was I looked up to Billy. That's what he did all the time. So I kind of just, if him, no matter when or what time, I tap on, when I find a smoker, unless I have to work. You know, those are my really my go-tos. But Three Sheets, that's a great call too as well. So if you're kind of to answer our question, if you're really looking for something to cut the smoke, a lot of experts say a good bourbon or a good whiskey with those fruit hints and or vanilla and caramels really cut that and offset it well. I did a little research on that. Also, one that I saw keep on coming up that I've never tried is you take bourbon and you combine it with lemonade. They say that is great for the summer smoking. When you're out there firing it up, that it really offsets and brings out the flavor of the meat and the smoke. I've never, I can see the sweetness of a lemonade cutting
Yeah.
and smoke if you have heavy smoke flavor, but I've never tried it. But I saw that pop up a lot in my research with this one.
The acid, right? I mean, that too, right? Those
Yeah,
acidic drinks,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. So, like our first episode, a little bit shorter, just kind of give you a preview of what's coming next. But I think before we sign off, in last season, both Colin and I talked a lot about, and the other talked about the smokers we have and what we use. So I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but just for our like maybe 5 fans that we have, if Peter and Berlin, if you just want to touch about the smokers that you use and the grills you use, and then we'll sign off and we'll get ready for episode 2 of season 2.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go first. Is that right?
Let it rip, yeah.
All right. I say I go first. I don't even know the name of my smoker, but it is small and it is electric and it's pretty old. So, smoker with training wheels on. It's very low tech. I don't have any fancy like digital thermometers. I don't have metrics going to my phone or anything like that. But I like it. I like being hands on with it. You know, forces me to take care of what I'm cooking and treat it the way. But definitely in the market for something a little big. At some point, I was trying to do a giant turkey, and I definitely had giving just with the idea of making sure that it fit in it. So right now it is a small, old-fashioned electric grill, no fancy, nothing. So
PD, I'm gonna follow up a question. What's your favorite type of wood you use?
a lot of people a little too harsh, a little too much, but I like a lot. I usually, even if I'm grilling, I throw a handful of mesquite chips right in the corner of my grill. A lot of people like foot torches. They have a painter, then just chuck them right in the corner of the fire up. If I'm doing something, you're gonna smoke something for more than half an hour. Mesquite gets a little harsh. Doing a bird or something, it's going to require a couple hours. Usually that's going to be like apple cherry mix. I like to keep it nice and sweet, so a little apple juice or apple cider in the bottom of the smoker. I found that works really well. I've over smoked so many birds, really taking it easy, smoke the right wood, and making sure I keep it moist.
Mr. Berlin,
Am I supposed to talk about just my smoker or anything?
yeah, smoker, maybe the type of wood you like you go to.
So I actually have the original prototype that Mr. Z has. I mean, he has definitely a way better version than I do, but I have the first ever prototype out of the old Sheboygan Falls metals class, made out of a 55-gallon drum. Uh, just the classic burn box on the side. I do use some thermometers. But yeah, there's no fans involved. Like it's a process, and I've really honed it in over the years. So that's what I got for my smoker. Do have a Weber grill that I use as well sometimes to smoke with a smoke chamber in there. Uh, I find that to work really good for stuff like queso, those kinds of recipes that don't require a lengthy smoke. I'd also have electric Weber grill, but my new venture is this Blackstone that I got. So kind of working that up a little bit. So I have kind of just the classic repertoire when it comes to that. As far as wood, I'm pretty simple. I've tried a lot of them. The mesquites. I agree with Petey like that. The mesquite can get a little heavy sometimes for me, and I'm kind of a sweet heat guy through and through. So the sweet, I always do apple cherry mix no matter what I'm doing. I'm an apple cherry through and through. I got I got pallets of it. Like my in-law neighbor cut an apple tree down. We have like 2 pallets of apple wood sitting there. My brother-in-law had a cherry tree in his backyard for some reason. I don't know why. He cut that down and gave that to me. So it seems like I have an endless supply, but I know that that's not true. But that's my go-to when it comes to wood. Apple cherry mix, no doubt.
So thanks for sharing. I just wanted to figured that'd be a good time to get everyone fired up because, you know, actually, Colin, why don't you go ahead and talk about you got a new smoker in your repertoire now.
Yeah. So the one I've always had is a Weber Smoky Mountain, and that's still the one I use most often. But I've got a Pit Boss pellet now that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace last year that I use now for like the more convenient when I don't feel like going through the whole rigmarole of starting up the coals and all that stuff. Or for like the longer, like a pork butter or brisket or something like that, I can use the Pit Boss. And then just this fall, or late summer, early fall, we got a Blackstone because Mr. Berlin told me how amazing it was, and I and I was like, you know what? I've seen people on social media with it. I got someone that I trust that loves it, so I got to get one. And luckily, or maybe not so lucky, but I kind of figured it was lucky. Our gas grill that we had kind of clunked out, and I was like, perfect timing. We can get a Blackstone now. So now we got that, and I love cooking on that. It's so much fun. Such a big cooking surface, can do so much stuff, and yeah. So that's kind of everything I got. As far as woods go, kind of echoing everybody else. I the three that I use the most is apple or cherry. That would be for like a pork or some sort of fish. And then when I do like chili or when I do a steak and then smoke it and then sear it, I use hickory wood for those. I like hickory wood a lot. That's a little bit smokier, but I like the smokier flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think hey, since the last time, remember, I've added one too to my repertoire. I guess I think about it, but I have my first one was a pellet Pit Boss, and I still have that. I still have this the second one that came from our Project Grill class, offset 60-gallon barrel drum smoker, which I love. Um, Also, I have the Big Mama, which is that big 6-foot beast up in Upper Michigan that I use for the turkeys. And I also got a Smoky Mountain, and so a smaller one. I have one of those too as well. So, and I have my big old glass grill with a flat top insert too. So, um, with that, but my wood of choice is always go cherry. I always like to mix some, when I'm doing the pellet smoker, some of those charcoal pellets in with it. I go 50-50, which helps a lot. But my family likes the sweeter. I like the sweeter. But Big Mama up north, I use maple, very hard wood, maple, and burns a little bit, and we still get a little bit sweet with that maple. So I use a lot of maple when I'm up north. But I make the coals so it's not as harsh. I still get a little bit sweet. So, all right, gentlemen, that's episode 1,
All right,
season 2 in the books here.
let's do that.
So we'll go around the horn with our sign off, and then we'll be back here in a bit, I don't know, maybe a week or so with an updated version of season 2, episode number 2, and hopefully get some viewer questions. Feel free to comment on Spotify. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on YouTube. Just leave us comments, all right, questions, so we can get. I'd love to have an episode just answering questions, you know. And so hopefully, I was thinking maybe we should do a raffle for some swag for people that put. So if you put a comment or question in, you have a chance to win some free swag or something like that. So if you do that, we will get that rocking and rolling as well. So, gentlemen, before we sign off, does anybody have anything they'd like to share or for the greater good?
Looking forward to season 2 and looking forward to our new additions here.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, guys. Good to
Yep.
be.
I'm just glad I was invited back. Clearly, I didn't mess up the first time. So,
No, you didn't. So, Colin, do you want to start us off with our sign off? We'll go around the horn, and then I'll end our episode 1 of season 2.
Smoke on.
me, smoke on.
Goes.
Cheers, and like always, my friends, smoke on.